Guys, welcome back to another exciting chess video. Today we are watching chess legend Robert James Fischer playing as black and his opponent, famous Robert Eugene Byrne, who was playing with the white pieces. Now, what makes this game so interesting is that Bobby Fischer completely outplayed Byrne against his favorite opening Sicilian attack in Sicilian defense. So if you ever get this sort of positions, especially if your opponent plays a Sicilian attack, this might be very good for you to learn how to counter this attack with the way of how Bobby Fischer of course did it. So truly exciting game is on our hands, and without further ado we will go straight into the game. So Byrne opened the game with e4, Bobby replies with c5, the more sharpest opening when your opponent plays e4. We have knight to f3, and d6 was played for Bobby Fischer. White immediately strikes in the center, we have a trade, and after knight takes on d4, knight f6 is played for Bobby Fischer. White continues his normal development, knight to c3, and right now a6 is played for Bobby Fischer. His idea is to play b5 and then maybe start an attack on the queen side depending on what White will play. White decided to play bishop c4, very commonly played by Bobby Fischer itself when he plays against Sicilian defense. And right now Bobby decided to reply with e6, and now we are officially in Sicilian attack. We have bishop to b3. Bobby also plays this move as white pieces simply want to save one move, because usually in these positions black plays b5, which happened in our game as well. So b5 was played for Bobby Fischer, and right now f4 was played for white. So white wants to start an attack, and especially wants to aim at this f7 square. That is the reason why this bishop must be saved. This is one of the main ideas of this opening. So we have bishop to b7, Bobby develops, also aims at this pawn, and for now white doesn't care about this pawn, and he plays f5 with the idea to immediately open up the position, because Bobby's king is still in the center, and that is wise decision to do. Bobby of course refuses this trade, because this would be horrific. If you decide to open up your king and e-file, your king will be a bit too late to put him to safety. So e5 was played for Bobby Fischer, right now attacking this knight. Knight now decided to retreat, so knight d to e2 was played for white, and white now offers Bobby Fischer this pawn free for taking, but of course it's not free. In the game knight b to d7 was played, but after knight d to e2, let's say that Bobby accepted this sacrifice, what would happen? So then white would continue with bishop d5 and attacking these two pieces, forcing a trade. After knight takes on c3, of course queen is under attack. We have knight taking on c3, and after bishop taking on d5, queen taking on d5. Right now this rook is under attack, and after this knight to d7 should be played for black. We have bishop to g5 played for white, and after this black can go on c8, which is not recommended. The best continuation is bishop to e7, and after bishop takes on e7, king takes on e7. This is the compensation. So basically black would lost his right to castle, so that was the compensation for one pawn. And Bobby Fischer of course didn't want this to happen. He thought that it was a bit too much of a compensation for this one pawn, especially if you want to save your castle and you want to play queen c8, then the situation could be a little bit tough for you as black for this one pawn. So after knight d to e2, Bobby Fischer decided to play knight b to d7, so he doesn't want to take this pawn. Bishop g5 now attacking this knight and also pinning it here. Bobby continues with bishop to e7, and right now we have knight to g3 played for white. White's idea is to go with his knight here and then try to trade pieces, and after that to try and attack this square here, which should be the plan for white of course. Bobby continues with rook to c8, and right now white makes a slight mistake with castling here. After rook to c8, best continuation was bishop taking on f6, and after knight takes on f6, knight to h5 with this idea I just mentioned before. So we want to target this d5 square and force a trade of these knights. But after castle, a bit passive, Bobby continues with h5, and right now Bobby's idea is clear. He wants to pressure this pawn with h4. After this knight retreats, this pawn would fall. Byrne of course sees this and he plays h4, and right now we have b4 played here for Bobby Fischer, attacking this knight. Now in this position white decided to trade pieces, and he first continues with bishop taking up on f6. We have bishop takes on f6, and now knight d5 was played for Robert Byrne. Again continued with a bishop picking up on h4 for Bobby Fischer. Right now this pawn was undefended, and right now we have knight picking up on h5 for white, so white also returns this lost pawn, and right now we have queen to g5 played for Bobby Fischer. Right now this knight is under attack, and now white finds the best move here, which is f6, the best move, of course, of the position, because right now white creates all sorts of threats. Of course, in the position g6 was played for Bobby Fischer, but after f6, let's say queen takes on h5 is played, then f takes on g7 is played, and right now this rook doesn't have any free space to go. This queen is hanging and is aiming at this queen, so the only way to continue this game was to actually play bishop f2, and after king takes on f2, queen h4 check, and after this, for example, if king goes on g1, you can continue with checking king, and then you can basically move your rook from this sort of threat. But still, the position is equal just because you have a perpetual check. Otherwise, white is doing just fine, and he's actually doing better. So that is the reason why he was scared of this sort of events. And after, of course, after f6 and in this position, for example, if you decide to play rook takes on h5, then rook f5 is the best here for white. But unfortunately, bishop f2 is what saves black in this position. Now you have few options. King on f2 is the best, although rook f2 is also possible. But after king on f2, you continue with queen to h4 check, king goes on g1, and black is simply doing better. He saved his queen, and black is doing just fine. Bobby Fischer wanted to avoid all of that, and after f6, he played g6. White continues with knight to g7 check. Now, although this looks scary, this knight is not that scary at all. After king to d8, this knight will be locked here until the end of this game. So for now, white doesn't have any compensation for this attack. We have rook to f3 for Byrne, now trying to utilize his rook. And also one of the ideas of the position for Bobby Fischer is putting this queen here on e3 after taking this knight, and this would lead to a checkmate attack. So Robert Byrne is forced to defend here, and the position is getting really scary for him, although it looks scary for Bobby, but only looks like it. We have bishop to g3 right now played for Bobby Fischer, with the idea to simply lock this king and also create a checkmating attack if this square gets unprotected again. We have queen to d3, Robert Byrne now trying to double up the defense of this square. Finally, we have bishop to h2 here for Bobby Fischer check, king goes on f1, and right now we have knight to c5 attacking this queen. And right now Robert Byrne decided that it is time to stir the waters, because there is no way of defending this position if you don't try and complicate the position. And now he tries with rook to h3. Bobby Fischer in this position played rook to h4. Now that's the reason. Now the reason why he did that was actually because after rook to h3, if you decide to pick up this queen, rook picks up on h8 check, and after king goes on d7, white would continue with bishop a4 check. After bishop blocks this check, white has this nice fork here, and Robert Byrne saw all of that, and he simply wanted to not allow this to happen, not to allow any complications and possible endangering this king. So that is the reason why after rook to h3, rook to h4 was played for Bobby Fischer. Simply now his rook is defended, and right now this queen is still hanging. Robert Byrne continues with queen to f3. We have a knight takes on b3, a takes on b3, and right now a rook picks up on h3. After queen takes on h3, we have finally bishop picking up on d5, taking this knight, and after e takes on d5, queen takes on f6 check here for Robert Byrne. After that, king goes on e1, and the last move of the position was queen to f4, after which Robert Byrne decided to resign. Black is simply here. He has too many threats, and white cannot defend all of them. That's the main reason why here in this position Robert Byrne resigned. One of the ideas, of course, is to bring your rook here on c2 and then threaten a checkmate. Also, one of the ideas is to play bishop to g6 and also threaten a checkmating attack. Too many threats, this king is too exposed, and black simply and white simply doesn't have enough time to respond to all of these threats. Now let's say that after queen to f4, let's say that white decided to pick up this pawn, of course, then queen to c1 check. After king goes on e2, we have rook picking up on c2. And right now, if the king goes on f3, then queen f4 is checkmate. And after king to e2 and rook picking up on c2 check, if this king goes on d3, then the checkmate is a bit prolonged. But after queen to d2 check, king goes on e4, queen f4 check, and after king goes on d3, rook d2 is another checkmate. And guys, this is how this game ended, and this is all I have prepared for you today. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a comment, like, and share this video with other people who enjoy chess, because this really helps with the YouTube algorithm. YouTube will push my videos more if you guys enjoy watching it, and if you spend time on it, watching it until the end, for example, this really helps as well. Also wanted to remind you that you can always share your comments and your thoughts about this game and about any game in the comments. I always enjoy reading them, as you always know. And of course, let me know if you enjoy watching Fischer games, guys. I truly enjoy watching and reading about Fischer games, especially finding those kind of games, those rarities where not many people are familiar with. And especially if you're learning chess, this would be a great lesson to you how to play against some of the openings you find on the chessboard when your opponent play them. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see each other in the next video. I wish you a pleasant day. Bye bye.